Sometimes he doesn't show up much in monthly finals. Sometimes he dominates them. Other times he's, gotten a good amount of points. How much is he practicing? But according to him, as of late, he's been a little bit more locked in than maybe we've seen him in the past couple years. Pedro is a guy that is known as one of the best micro players in the game, one of the best minor control players in the game. Very excited to see what these gentlemen bring in our final matchup here in the upper bracket round 1.
Looks like Pedro has played around 400 games this season with about a 60% win rate. And MUGI's at 270 games with also about a 60% win rate total. Which is interesting because I feel like MUGI's usually that guy who doesn't practice at all, shows up and wins everything. But, he's actually, in the top 25 of pros of like amount of games practiced and amount of time put in. And for him, that's a really solid amount. And we all know that MUGI, a practiced MUGI, who's taking something seriously, is a force to be reckoned with.
Yeah, a very, very scary MUGI. Our world champion in 2023 and in 2021. He was at World Finals last year getting 8th place, and he also just took #1 on ladder 2 months ago in March. So a guy that's definitely putting in the work, and as Juicy said, that is a scary, scary man when he's committing. I mean, he even said last year that he was going through a lot of personal issues over the last couple of years, and that he's ready to get dialed back in, and we saw a little bit of a nod from him just a moment ago. Looking like he's also very happy with the matchup that he has at hand. While he is down a little bit of HP, this is the type of deck that you're going to go down in single elixir and then ideally take over in double and in triple.
Man, that is the thing about this Royal Hogs deck, is it's one of the most used decks in CRL right now because of how consistent it is. Like on paper here, like he's literally going up against a bomb tower, a royal delivery, and even a magic archer that he doesn't have too much for. But even then, he still has so many opportunities here if he plays this well. And he still has a chance because he has the Dark Prince, he has the Lightning for good damage, and the E-Spirit for the bats. There's always something that you can make happen here. Especially if your name's MUGI.
Yeah, I was going to say. Pedro getting 2nd place in his group. His losses were to Wallace and Surgical Goblin, but he was able to take out Jors, Rainbow, Igor, and Boss along the way. MUGI on the other side of that conversation, first in his group, going 6-1 in games, only losing to Adriel. Which we all know Adriel is a force to be reckoned with.
It's true.
Looked like he might just be the guy last month, but things kind of changed halfway through day 2 as we tick into double elixir here.
So now that we're in double elixir, as you said, I think, yeah, there you go. We're going to start seeing more lightnings drop down. And that's his like real win condition right now, because these Royal Hogs are going to be a struggle to get the tower. But another thing to always talk about and mention is the Evo Royal Hogs. Once you get the Evo Royal Hogs plus lightning in hand, anything can happen. There can be damage that comes through. The other thing that MUGI's doing a great job of is continuing to play Teslas. Teslas. That's the main name of the game, because Pedro does not have a big spell. So the more Teslas and Skelly Drags you can stack on the board, the more chance you have to really make some plays.
Oh, wow. And those Evo Bats play just on top of those Evo Royal Hogs. A bit of a unfortunate situation for MUGI to be in as he picks up this Dark Prince to pick up the Magic Archer on top of the Tesla, but still gets the lineup, does Pedro, who is ahead by 900 HP at the moment.
Okay, ability. Baits out the bomb tower. I'm sure we'll see Royal Hogs very soon, but he doesn't slow roll. He doesn't want to go straight into another prediction. But now, that gives Pedro an opportunity for 2 more Magic Archer, 3 more Magic Archer hits, and it's not looking great.
No, and exactly like you talked about, Juice, it looks like MUGI is already recognizing his main win condition is just the lightning. And, for what looked like a happy situation for MUGI to start this, where he was, he kind of had that nod like he was happy with his matchup. Pedro showing him maybe that is not the case. Rhino does touch the tower. And a nice E-Spirit here to clean up, so it's doesn't have to worry about the Magic Archer lineup.
25 seconds. Barbro coming through. Lightning drops down. Delivery's there. We do see the Battle Ram ability trying to bait out the bomb tower and then maybe go for Royal Hogs after.
Pigs, but I don't think he has time.
Yeah, exactly. The seconds stick off. 4 seconds. Skelly Drag's dropping down. He's just defending the final moment. And Pedro with just a very clean victory, showing up with the bomb tower, the roll delivery for those Royal Hogs. But most importantly, honestly, was those Evo bats. Because eSpirit's Gravers
World last year was a great year for Brazil last year. And as I mentioned before, number 2 back in 2023. And in 2024, he was number 6 at World Finals. So no stranger to that World Finals stage as he comes out with what looks like Hog EQ already. As he gets a nice firecracker lineup.
And it looks like MUGI with Zappies and Goldenite. My guess would be probably the giant skeleton, like Ram Rider or Battle Ram type deck. But I kind of feel like MUGI really likes. Oh, interesting. I don't know. Honestly, we'll just have to see what he's got here. Because now I'm thinking maybe it's some sort of probably Graveyard with Inferno Drag, Graveyard Freeze. See if he plays the Freeze here.
He did not play any Evo Inferno Drag. And he only played Graveyard twice. One Graveyard Freeze deck with Bowler and Exy, and another one with Bowler and Evo Furnace.
It's such a nice Bowler placement. Just takes out everything, gets the King activation versus the Firecracker, and takes out the Firecracker. Not quite, but the tower will get the job done. Yeah, Pedro's already recognizing the fact that the Tesla is the most valuable card in this matchup, and it's so true. Whenever you play against these Graveyard Freeze type decks, you want to stack as many Teslas as possible, but you also want to cycle that Evo, because you always want to match your Evo Tesla with the Evo Inferno Drag just to make sure there's nothing Wait, what?
And a dual lane pressure here puts Pedro in a tough spot, and this Golden Knight just going to absolute town on that left-hand tower. Berserker just played a second late. Didn't want to, maybe just didn't have the elixir to defend both lanes with 2 separate cards, so tries to get the Berserker to do both. And now MUGI just adding insult to injury as this Bowler's going to get some damage on the right-hand side as well. Now a NATO to King Tower, and King Tower is activated.
Man, this is crazy. I don't know if he lagged or what. I'm certain that he had enough elixir to play that Berserker quicker.
Yeah,
Pedro
maybe it was just the timing of both lanes' pressure. I'm not sure either.
Man, and then the ability into... Oh my goodness, the freeze on the Tesla. eSpirit does a great job, though. Wow, okay. Great defense from Pedro there, despite a little bit over aggression. And then we see a dual lane pressure. He's really trying to make something happen here. Difficult.
Pulls that Hog to King. Zappy's going to be a very difficult... I mean, when you don't have the right response to Zappies, which feels like almost all the time because there's something else that you need to play your spells on than the Zappies, they still are just one of the best cards in the game.
I couldn't agree more. Especially in this scenario with Pedro most likely having either Earthquake or Lightning. It's so difficult to take those things out. And same thing on Pedro's end, though. These Firecrackers, look at this.
Yeah.
I mean, okay, nice NATO there. Even Inferno Drag actually gets kind of back pretty well. Boulder ability plus Graveyard, we got to watch out for Freeze as well, is Pedro, which is why he's going to defend with Earthquake and eSpirit. But once again, he needs damage. He needs it bad. It's just very unusual to be down this much elixir versus this deck.
Yeah, the synergy between the Evo Bowler, the Hero Bowler and the Graveyard is just so fascinating because, you have to defend up high and down low. You don't want your unit to run back towards the skeletons so that the Bowler gets splash damage on tower. It's just kind of a fun synergy that has just been introduced in the game. And wow, that Bowler does connect on tower again. And it does, and we're going to a game number 3. I'm calling it right now.
Yeah.
131 HP remains, but that Bowler is still there.
Inferno Drag trying to lock on. Hog Rider trying to sneak through. Firecracker try and get some good chip. He does keep the Firecracker alive. I think that Pedro might have the slimmest chance ever if the Firecracker is... Okay, never mind.
And quickly as you say it, the Firecracker's taken off the board. The Hog jumps over the river. So if going Golem is what you want, MUGI also known as a Royal Giant player, but has kind of shied away from it over the last couple of years. Could be a good time for him to come out with that, but decides to go quick and fast with the Evil Wall Breakers right out the gates.
Evil Wall Breakers, maybe it is going to be that log bait deck. After seeing the Berserker, looks like that's the case. Marcher, Hyper Bait. Fireball, though. Pedro with the Fireball Roll Hogs variation is going to really change how this is because, we saw previously Sub running circles around his opponent in a very similar matchup here with just stacking multiple Magic Archers. But Pedro with the Fireball this time is going to make this a much different story.
Yeah, MUGI ran a deck that looked very similar to this, though. It had Valkyrie and Tesla and Ice Spirit, whereas, we could still see Valkyrie, but Tesla is out, and we see the Heal Spirit, the Fire Spirit already, and he's going to go Evo Bats.
Wow. It's the Miner, not the Goblin Barrel. I kind of like that idea. Maybe the Goblin Barrel could have been a good idea, especially since Pedro had already used Log and the Fire Spirit and the E-Spirit, but he does have the Bar Barrel as well. And then interesting thing from Pedro is also these Evo Archers. I feel like we don't see much of that, but I also really like the idea. I think Evo Archer is actually insanely underrated, and especially when you split them. And look at Mugi's deck as well. If he splits Evo Archers, Mugi's basically going to be forced to defend for the entire time that they stay on the board, since he doesn't have a great way of taking them out.
And that's a great call, Juicy, as those Evo Archers they were split, but they're going to walk towards... That's the thing with the Archers is even if you split them, if they don't move too far apart and then they're automatically on offense, they will walk towards that lane a lot of the time. Evo Archers definitely getting an uptick in usage, kind of famously only used in Expo, for a very long time. Yeah. But now we see it in those Mortar decks, and we're seeing right here, does not get the lineup with the Magic Archer, that barrel on top of it.
But the Wall Breaker does connect.
Yeah.
Marcher ability going to try to protect delivery as well. Monk is going to deflect those Marcher shots into Mugi's own tower. So Pedro getting some damage here. Another round of Roll Hogs as well.
Beautiful Fire Spirit there from Mugi to clean up that Monk and the Skeleton Dragon as we see him go right back on offense. Does bait out the Archers, and the Archers are there to snipe after the Magic Archer gets a shot in. So thinking 2 and 3 steps ahead are both these gentlemen.
Yeah, love the Evo Archer prediction there, but the Marcher still gets one hit, and he doesn't really counter push with them much either. So, who really did get the better opportunity there? We do see a really nice Evo Royal Hogs push coming through with the Monk ability tanking, Fireball on the Magic Archer, everything coming down the lane. Delivery is enough to stay in the game, but my goodness, this match is all of a sudden pretty much tied up.
Yeah, and the dual lane pressure conversation is not quite out the window, but it does feel like Mugi is pretty committed, and there we go. As soon as that Monk comes down, you have to go opposite lane. You need to bait out some Elixir there, gets the Goblin Hut out, and now a nice delivery to clean everything up at the bridge. That delivery is kind of the saving grace here when you talk about defensive ability in terms of ignoring that Monk.
Trying to protect the Magic Archer on left side with the Berserker doesn't work, but another Minor Wall Breaker's in. Nonetheless, you're right.
Oh, wow.
You're right. Out cycle on the bar, but the Goblin barely gets back in cycle. But a lot of Elixir, and I think you're right. I think this switch to the opposite lane is so important and really, really solid play here from Mugi. I mean, I don't know. I think that, once again, we talked about it so many times, how important it is with this deck.
That Monk just kind of stacking chip damage as time goes on here, trying to defend his Magic Archer. And a Fireball. Wow, that is so much Fireball value for Pedro.
Nice. Unbelievable. 45 seconds left. Spirits counter Spirits. Magic Archer continuing to try to bait out Elixir and Fireballs in the left lane. But this time, Skelly Drag prediction onto the bats. Fire Spirit delivery does still take out Skelly Drags, and Miner's trying to get chip damage. But Pedro's just trying to hold on this damage lead. It's not really working.
He missed the Fireball.
Oh my gosh.
879, 1050, 23 seconds remain. Another Miner's going to come in anytime here. Now gets the high Monk. Monk has to focus on the left-hand side, so the chip damage cannot come through, as Pedro knows he has the spell conversation with the Fireball. 12 seconds remain. Another Miner comes down. Pedro knows if he can hold on to this lead, the Fireball will be enough. Can Mugi get damage in? It doesn't look like it. You can see the look on his face.
Oh my goodness. Pedro, the huge celebration. He's taken down the 2-time world champion in Mugi. Great defensive sequences. And once again, those Archers at the end. Those Archers, they did so good at putting out DPS. but also they're one of those only cards where it's like, man, how am I going to get this Magic Archer to connect on tower? Because there's two of them, the targeting's kind of weird, but also since they're a range unit, he's able to position them in spots where the Magic Archer doesn't actually have the geometry to make it to the tower.
Yeah, the Monk is also a great call there. The Monk almost ended up becoming the win condition when you talk about the small chip damage, and then the